Hi, and welcome to the seventh video in our PowerShell beginner projects series. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at number 7 on our list of the beginner project ideas, which is the account lockout checker. So what we'll be doing today is we'll be building a simple script that will look for the locked out accounts in Active Directory and then send us an email report of those locked out accounts, and we'll include maybe some important details like the last bad password attempt and the time that it locked out, just to give us some more details about it so the person that's receiving the email could do some follow-ups and see where those bad attempts are coming from or why it got locked out. Maybe check with the user to see that it's not someone trying to get into their account. Or if they've forgotten their password, then we can simply reset their password for them and give them their new password and they're on their way. So that's what we'll be looking at today. So just to show you guys what I have currently in my environment right now. So this is purely a test environment here. So right now I have a password policy, and it does enforce the lockout. After 5 attempts, the account is locked out. So we'll be using that forward. I decided to put it to 5 just for the quickness of the video. So let's go ahead and let's actually start our coding here. So I already have my script. I just called it account lockout checker.ps1. So let's actually get started here. So the first thing we're going to want to do is figure out, how do we know an account is actually locked out? So the easiest way to do that is if we just do a get AD user and we look for our user test user 1 on the server jacked.ca, and then we're going to do properties, and we're going to do the star here and just run that. We will get all the properties for that user. And there is actually a locked out variable here, so we can actually see that it is false. And then we also have like the last bad password attempt, lockout time. So we have a lot of data here. So how can we look for just the locked out users? Now, what we might be tempted to do is to do a filter and then a script block and then do locked out equals true. Now this, of course, probably won't pull up any accounts, but it'll actually give us an error saying that searching on the extended attribute locked out is not supported with this commandlet. Use search AD account instead. So the get AD user actually does not allow you to filter on locked out. What you could do is you could just do a get AD user, filter on all users, and then pipe that to a where clause and do the where locked out equals true. That would work. But that would also take a lot more processing power. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the search dash AD account. And there is actually tons of options here. So you can actually search for the accounts that are expired, accounts that are expiring. You can search for the accounts that password never expires. So there's definitely a lot of different things that you could look for. And one of them is locked out. And then we're just going to put in our server here for jacked.ca. So if we run this right now, we won't get any users because I don't have any locked out users right now. So what we're going to do is we are just going to start Internet Explorer as a different user. And we're just going to do our test user 1. We are just going to launch a bunch of bad passwords here against the user till we get the message of the account is locked out. There you go. So the referenced account is currently locked out and may not be logged into. So now if we launch this commandlet, we are going to see that we get our user back. That's perfect. We get the last logon date, we get the lockout, but we don't get the lockout time or anything like that. So then what I would do is, as you can see, we don't have properties here. So that's, but that is okay. what we can do is we will set this to locked out users, and we can set that equal to that. And then what we will do is we will do a for each locked out user in locked out users, open and close curly brackets. We're going to create a variable called AD user, and we're going to set that equal to get dash AD user. And what we are going to do is we're going to do a identity is going to be the locked out user dot sam account name, and the server is going to be jacked.ca, and then the properties we're going to put star, and then what we're going to do is we're going to look at that AD user. So if we just run this here, so here we have all the details. So here we can actually see where is it here? So here we have it. So we have the last bad password attempt, which we have in a nice seeable date. So we can see April 19th, 2022 at 7:51 p.m. But we can see that the lockout time is this really, really weird number, 1329488586991604767. Now this really doesn't tell us anything, and that's because it's in file time. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to convert that time into something that we can understand. So let's go ahead and let's actually get these values. So what we're going to want to do is just to test it out here to see if we can actually see it properly, we're going to do an open and close square bracket and put in date time, because this is going to be our variable type. And then we're going to do the colon. Now this is going to give us tons of different methods that we can use. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a from file time, and we're going to put in the AD user dot lockout time. And then if we go ahead and we run this now, we're going to see that we get Tuesday, April 19th, 2022 at 7:51 and 9 p.m. So that's perfect. So that's our lockout time. So then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to send a report of this to our administrators. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a nice array list here, because we don't really know how many users it might be. In this case, you could probably get away with doing just a simple array, because you're probably not going to be storing so many users that array list difference is really going to matter. But we're just going to practice just creating those array lists. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to call that variable export, because that's what we're going to be exporting out. We're going to be sending that in our email. And then in our for loop, we're going to go ahead and create our entry variable, and that's going to be equaled to a new object. Type name is going to be PS object. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a bunch of add members, and we're going to do a input object is going to be our entry. Our member type is going to be a note property. The name is going to be username, or we could do Sam account name depending on what you'd really want to do there. But we can just do username for now. And we're going to put in for the value, we're just going to put in AD user dot Sam account name. And what we're going to do is we're just going to copy that line. We're going to put in a few more times. So we're going to store the username. We're going to store the lockout time. We're going to give them the last bad password attempt. And I think that should be good for now. We can actually even put let's go ahead and let's put the name of the person. So not just the username, but the actual name of the person. So let's do AD user. So for the name, we're going to put just name here. For the lockout time, we're going to go ahead and wrap this in a variable wrapper. We're going to do our variable wrapper here. So that's just a $ open and close parentheses. And we're going to put our date time : from file time, and then our AD user dot lockout time. Let me just fix this so it just looks all the same here. Not super important, but it's just a good practice. We have our AD user and then last bad password attempt. And then what we're going to do at the end here is we are going to do export plus equals entry. Or what we could also do is we could do a open, close square bracket, put void in front of it, and then do export dot add entry, close parentheses. And what we can do is we can look at our export variable here. So there we have it. We have name is test user 1 because that's the name of the user, and then username. But what we can actually do here, because my AD is actually slightly different, I forgot about that. For the name, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a string with 2 variable wrappers. We're going to do AD user dot given name, and then AD user dot surname, and let's run that here. Perfect. So we have test user, and then the username is test user 1. Lockout time is April 19th, 7:51, and the last bad password attempt is also April 19th, 7:51. Perfect. So that seems to be all good. So then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to send this to our administrator or a set of users to be able to go and check the systems, check the event logs to see why it's been locked out, follow up with the user, and do all that nice stuff. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create basically a log of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a log path here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to store where we're going to put these log files. So I'm going to put that in C users in my account, and then on the desktop, and then I have a folder for the beginner projects, and I have a specific folder just for the logs. And then what I'm going to also have is I'm going to have a log file, and I'm going to actually make that equal to lockouts. And I'm going to put a dash in there and a variable wrapper. And in the variable wrapper, I'm actually going to do a get date. This way it's the date of the lockouts, and then we're going to format that with 2 double quotes, and we're going to put lowercase y's, so 4 lowercase y's for the year, dash 2 uppercase m's for the month, dash 2 lowercase d's for the date, and then a space hh lowercase, dash 2 m's lowercase for minutes, and we're going to make that .csv because we're going to make that a comma separated file. So that should be good. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do at the bottom here, if export. So if we have values in export, we are going to do the following. So we are going to take our export variable and we are going to pipe that to export-csv. And we're going to do our path here, which is going to be log path /log file. And we're going to specify our delimiter to be a comma, and we're going to add the no type information. So if we go ahead and we look at that here, let me just clean out these log files. So we don't have anything in there. Let's go ahead and let's just run this code. So here we have our CSV file. So everything looks pretty good there. Now what we want to do is we want to email that. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using our mail module that we've made. So if you have not seen the video on the mail module, I will be putting that down in the description below. So you guys will be able to go check that out. Just because I'm not going to go over recreating the mail module. Like I find like once you make your own mail module to replace the send mail message commandlet, you can still use the send mail message commandlet, but it is deprecated and Microsoft does recommend to use the mail kit, the meme kit that we actually made a module for to send out our own emails by using the way that Microsoft recommends it. They haven't made a commandlet yet. I'm not sure when we're going to get one, but I would highly recommend going to look at that video. And also there is another video which would be handy, which is going to be the storing passwords securely in your script, because I'm going to be importing the credential that I'm going to be using to send the mail message. This way you guys do not see the password in clear text. So what we're going to first do is we're going to import that mail module. So let's go ahead and let's import that. And then we are just going to run that, make sure that we can import it. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable called mail account. And I'm going to make that equal to import.cli.xml path. And we're going to point that to the C scripts, send mail, and then the outlook.xml. And that will actually have my account. So if we run that here and we just look at the mail account, we're going to see that we have my username test JackedProgrammer at outlook.com, and the password is in a secure string, and we're going to be passing that to our commandlet. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do our mail port, which for us is going to be 587 for Outlook, and then our mail SMTP server is going to be smtp-mail.outlook.com. And then our mail from is going to be our mail account dot username. And then our mail to, we're going to be sending that to test JackedProgrammer at outlook.com. I could have also used the username here, but since this is probably going to change if we're sending it to our administrators, you're probably not sending it from the robot mail account that you have. So once we have that here, we have our log file. So then what we're going to do is we are then going to go and do another if statement. And we're going to do it if the test path of the path log path / log file. So if the log file exists, so as long as this has executed properly, has exported a file, we are going to be doing the following. So we're going to be doing the subject is going to equal count lockouts. And then the body here, we're just going to do something simple, is here are the locked out accounts. And then the attachment, we are going to be setting that to our log path / log file. Perfect. And then we are going to do our send mail kit message. And then we're going to put in our from address, which is going to be the mail from. To is going to be the mail to. So this is why I put everything into variables. It just makes it very, very easy to then just kind of fill out. So the mail SMTP server, the port is going to be the mail port. right? And then we're going to put in the credential, which is going to be the mail account. And then all we have left is the subject, body, and attachment. So let's go ahead and let's do the subject, which is going to be subject, body, which is going to be body, and then the attachment, which is going to be the attachment here. And that should be good to go. So let's go ahead and let's run this. So just to show you guys that I don't have anything in my inbox right now, let's go ahead and let's run that here. It created our new CSV file. And in here, I did receive the email with the CSV file. So let's just let that load up a little bit here. So here we can see a whole bunch of number sign. That usually just means that the field just needs to be expanded a bit. Now in Excel with the time, it'll just show 1951 here for 7:51. But if you click on it, it'll actually give you the precise time that you've actually inputted. So here we see 7:51:09 and then 7:51:09. So this kind of depends on your Outlook settings on how the time will show up. But if you click on it, you will see that exact time. So that is perfect. And then of course, if you open it up in Notepad, you would see the full values. So then what you would do with this is your administrator would see this and then be able to go ahead into the event viewer, go in the event logs, go into the security and see like, okay, this happened at 7:51:09. So let me go down to those events. So 7:51:09. So here we have it. We have the account locked on failed. We have account for which the logon failed, test user 1, unknown username or password. It came from the workstation hype v2016L. Source network address, which is the IP address, is going to be ::1 because it does come from the domain controller itself because we were directly on the machine. So that comes in handy. Now, of course, you could use our script that we've also already written on this channel here that I have actually just pulled up here. So here we can say enter the username to search for. We can say test user 1. Here are all the bad passwords that we've pulled up on it. And just an example here. So if I actually just go ahead and unlock this account here. So this is where this would come definitely in handy. Just make sure that it unlocked it. It did. So if I go ahead and try from my own workstation, so you guys won't see this here, but if I go ahead and just try to log in to it, so test user 1, going to be locking it out again. There you are. It's locked out. So now if I go ahead and run the lockout checker once again, we're going to go ahead and see this. So it's going to create a new CSV. We are going to have another email. Then if I go into this email here, we are going to see the lockout time now shows 8:10:31, and then the last bad password attempt is also 8:10:51. So what you would be able to do in a more advanced project, so I will be covering this advanced part in probably a few weeks, maybe 2 or 3 months or so. I would really like to get out the advanced or intermediate projects to you guys. But this would be something that I would definitely consider more intermediate. So once you have all of this, it would do all of the scripting in the event viewer to pull all the logs for that user and give that to the administrator right away. So they don't have to go take the time of opening the event viewer, and looking at it, or if they don't have a script, it definitely takes them even longer. But even if they have a script, they need to then open that and then execute it for test user 1 here. And then we're going to see, okay, so it was for 8/10/31. All right, we see that it was tried, and here's the machine name that was trying to get into the account. Here's the IP address that it was coming from. You can then do those follow-ups on your systems and see to make sure that it wasn't like a password spray attack or someone trying to hack into that user's account. Those are all the different things that you would be able to do. Again, those are more intermediate tasks. I would definitely say as a beginner, simply getting the locked out accounts, sending them in an email is going to give you a lot of benefit already. And then as an intermediate task, again, like I said, or an intermediate project, is add that functionality to go into that event viewer, automatically kind of detect and see what's going on. And then, of course, always manually go check with the user to kind of see what's going on, if they've forgotten their password or who might be trying to get into their account. Or maybe it's just an old device that they had logged in and they've changed their password, and that device still has their old password, and you can say, hey, like this device is logging in, and they can go ahead and change their password on that device, and that would fix the problem. So that's pretty much it for the account lockout checker. So I will be posting the link for the mail module video and that securing the passwords video down in the description below, and also the GitHub link for this script I will also have down in the description below. So to make sure to check that out. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and I will try my best to answer them. And if I think it is a great question that a lot of people can benefit from, I will definitely be making a video on it. So make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified when the next video comes out. And I will see you guys on the next video.